everyone, I'm back. As soon as I had the spoons or the energy to do another video. I've been talking with a lot of people about their inner critic. And if you don't have one, you got to get in touch with me and let me know if you never had one, which would be incredible, or what you figured out to do to get rid of it. But for the rest of us, you've got a voice in your head that's always negging you, or telling you that you can't do stuff, or that it wouldn't be worth it to take a risk. You name it. Any of your big dreams or goals, there's this voice in your head that says, you shouldn't do that. And across time in human history, we have tried to figure out how to change the parts of the brain that we don't like so that we can keep the parts of our brain that we do like. And lobotomies, right? Like playing around in cutting out little bits of the brain. It never worked the way that people were hoping that it was going to. And so learning how to tend or befriend or have a more compassionate and understanding part of you that can respond to your inner critic is more effective than getting a lobotomy. I'm not being silly. In the 1970s, a group of psychiatrists in New York wrote an open letter to the New York Times that they were still doing amygdalectomies on, quote, like criminals. And they were just in this little bubble on their own. And they thought they were doing really good clinical work. And so then when this letter got published, everyone was horrified because they were like, I don't think you should do that. Not just is someone consenting to get an amygdalectomy or like signing informed consent for what they know they're doing, but just that it's not okay to play around with someone's brain to try and make them more docile or compliant or a better participant in society. So broadly, we have been struggling with what we're going to do about this brain in our head. And the thinking part of your brain isn't actually the whole of your the seat of your wisdom or your capacity to live your life or make changes or learn and grow, or even understand. But that chatter, that kind of monkey mind that's always telling you that you just don't have it, you don't have what it takes to have the life you want, is not trying to hurt you, but is trying to protect you. And we can't fire the inner critic, but we can certainly work on responding to it with compassion, but not necessarily going, okay, you can keep running the show. The story or the example, the metaphor that I always give to my clients is if you have a child that comes to you and says, there are monsters under the bed, you need to validate their fear because the fear is real and it's painful, but you wouldn't just leave it at that. You would go, okay, well, I'm the adult. I got to go check. We have to go see if there are really monsters. And the kid might be like, oh, no, don't. What if there really are? And you, the adult, would go, yeah, if there are monsters in my house, I have to do something about it to take care of you. That's my job. And if there aren't monsters, I have to go and check so that I can tell you that, so I can help you work on the fear that may not be based in reality. But what you wouldn't do was not check and tell them to stop being afraid. That's not so cool. And what you also wouldn't do would be to just join them in their fear and go, okay, well, that sounds really scary. Maybe you should just sleep in bed with me until you're 11. You know, there's got to be a mature and compassionate, but also like active or protective, nurturing approach when some part says, I'm scared, I don't know what to do, and I don't want to go look at what information I might need to make the next decision. And so we don't sabotage ourselves because we are trying to make our life hard. We sabotage ourselves because we are trying to protect ourselves. If I don't let myself go on that date or go to that dance class, then I won't ever have to deal with feeling uncomfortable awkward, embarrassed, not knowing what to do with my hands, just whatever, you name it. Um, but if I don't let myself go and do any of the things that would make my heart sing somewhere in there, then I'm not getting an opportunity to practice the new skill of being uncomfortable so that it can become a habit. Um, and so, what we're going to treat today using AIT's just protocol is I want to sabotage myself and others. And if you've seen any of these videos before or you're a subscriber, then you know what the deal is. So I'm going to move a little bit faster than I would normally, just so that you can use this on your own time, stop if you need to, process the information. But in particular for this one, if you notice that there's an inner critic that gives you some information when your hand is at a certain energy center on your body, stop. And if you feel resourced and equipped, then you can ask this part, this voice, what are you trying to do? Right? Not what do you think you're doing, right? The tone is really different because what you're asking is, what are you trying to do? And this part, if they feel safe enough with you, will usually say something like, I'm trying to keep you safe. I'm trying to protect you. And then the next important question might be, when did I need that? And if you can sit in enough stillness, sometimes you might get an image or a memory, an insight. Sometimes it's like a voice telling you something. But what you're looking for is, how old was I when I started being critical of myself as a form of self-protection? Or how old was I when I found out that if I asked for help, I wasn't going to get it, but if I tried to figure it out by myself, then at least no one was ever going to yell at me? Or I went out there and I took a big risk and I fell flat on my face and it was filled with shame. And then this part of me said, no more shame, no more risks, right? It's just too extreme of a reaction, usually because we're having this experience as children or as adolescents or teenagers. So the other thing that, another way to look at this is Dr. Cal Banyan, who is a clinical hypnotherapist, not doctor, he does not have a PhD, talks about how children are in a highly suggestible and hypnotic state pretty much throughout the early years of their childhood, which is why you can convince a child that, spoiler alert, that Santa Claus is real, or that the Easter Bunny or the Tooth Fairy, that these are real entities that bring you stuff. And children are like, yeah, sure, I believe you, because they have a capacity to imagine, the magical and the mystical, but also because they're highly suggestible. That's why you have to be really careful about telling children stories, is because they just believe you. So you might have to go, this is a story. This is a joke I'm telling you, instead of going, look, these are the facts. This is reality. So if you're highly suggestible as a child, when someone says, you should be more careful, or you should not take risks, or the reason that you feel ashamed is because you did something bad, children just go, okay, that tracks. I am highly suggestible and you are an authority figure, so I believe you. So then if you were a child, which you were in order to be able to grow into an adult, you were highly suggestible. Someone could have told you something about yourself, other people, or the world, and you would have believed it. So why we work on self-sabotage is not because we're bad. It's because somewhere along the line, we learned that sabotaging ourselves, or nailing our foot to the floor and running around in circles, is safer than taking the nail out and just going out and living our lives and taking risks and being uncomfortable. So the phrase we're going to treat today is, I want to sabotage myself and others. So I want you to get a number of how true or how strong the energy feels on this phrase for you. 10 would be, this is a fact. If this one makes you feel gross and you don't like it and you don't want it to be true, that's not the same thing as it not having a charge. So you might want it to be a 4, but it's actually a 7. You might want it to be a 2, but it's actually a 6. So just take a second to be still and let your first thought be your best thought on a scale of 0 to 10 for how strong this phrase is. I want to sabotage myself and others. And then once you get your number, write it down, and then get a sense of where you feel that in your body. The more you practice this skill, the more you listen to your body, instead of just letting that thinking part of your brain, that chatter part, tell you everything, even though it doesn't always have all the information. The more you practice listening, the easier it becomes. That I know from my clinical experience and my personal experience as a human being. So take a second to sense into your body of where you feel the energy of that 7 or of that 4. It could be somewhere in the midline energy centers of your body. Or for you, it might be somewhere where you experience chronic pain or you experience some sort of debilitating health issue, which could be looked at as a form of blocking yourself from healing or growth. Don't twist my words. I am not saying that you are consciously choosing to be sick so that you don't have to live your life. I'm saying that if a part of your body starts talking to you when you hear the phrase, I want to sabotage myself and others, listen to it. So that will be where you put your stationary hand. For me, I'm feeling that big over my right eye. This is one of the places that for me, I associate with not wanting to see something when I might need to take a look at it, or not wanting to feel something when it might be too painful to feel. So find where you're going to put your stationary hand. So for me, that's going to be this kind of band right over my right eye. And then you're going to start your hand at the crown of your head. This time, what you're listening for after you say the phrase, I want to sabotage myself and others, is if you hear that inner critic or that saboteur say something to you or give you some resistance or fight back with you. So one hand at your the place where you're feeling the energy or sensation, the other hand at the crown of your head. I want to sabotage myself and others. Now to your forehead. I want to sabotage myself and others. So if you're getting information, one of the things I'm getting here is when I feel jealous of other people because of their success or if they have something that I want. That's a form of sabotaging myself because I am not looking at it like an opportunity to learn from them. But it's also a way that I sabotage those people, right? Because then they become in some way like villains or adversaries in my mind. So jealousy can certainly be a way that I might sabotage myself or sabotage others. Oh man, and then the number 11 just popped up. So then if something about me being 11 years old and experiencing that jealousy, I would go spend some of my own personal time exploring that, not for the intents and purposes of this video, but if or as you get information when we're doing this round, feel free to pause the video and just take a little time to interact with that part of yourself. I want to sabotage myself and others. Okay, now to your chin. I want to sabotage myself and others. To your throat. I want to sabotage myself and others. Center chest. I want to sabotage myself and others. To your left heart. I want to sabotage myself and others. To your right heart. I want to sabotage myself and others. Now to your solar plexus, where your rib cage meets in the center. I want to sabotage myself and others. Your belly button. I want to sabotage myself and others. Now to your pelvis, your low belly, or where your the center of your pelvis, your pelvic bone. I want to sabotage myself and others. To your left hip crease. I want to sabotage myself and others. I get a lot of hip pain when I push too hard at the gym or when I'm jogging. And so I'm thinking about how like pushing myself too hard instead of listening to that hip pain could also be a form of me sabotaging myself. And then the number 17 just popped up like, okay, body, your body will talk to you if you practice the skill of slowing down so you can listen. Move your hand to your right hip crease and say it again. I want to sabotage myself and others. And then one more time at your root, the base of your tailbone. You can sit on your hand from the back or put your hand between your legs in the front and say it one more time. I want to sabotage myself and others. Take a deep breath. Check the number, the score. Has it gone up? Has it gone down? Is there a part of you that's really fighting letting go of this one? Or is there a part of you that's saying, this isn't a problem for me, so I don't need to pay attention to it? That's all information, particularly resistance, particularly that resistance as it comes alive when we're working on something, has a lot to tell you about where that saboteur, where that inner critic stops you from doing something that might be pro-social or healthy or healing for you. So take a big breath, let it go, and then check your suds one more time. If it's a 2 or less, just put your hands at 2 stationary energy centers and say this phrase a few more times. If it's more than a 3, go ahead and do one more whole round. You wouldn't need me to direct you to do that. The phrase is, I want to sabotage myself and others. I'm going to put my hands at 2 stationary places. The place I'm feeling it now, in my body, in the, below the neck, and then that place above my right eye, and say it 4 more times. I want to sabotage myself and others. 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 Big breath. Check it again. People who are new to AIT in my clinical practice will often ask, why would we be saying the negative version of the statement? It feels awful. Wouldn't we want to find out what the positive version is so that we could fill it up and install that? And yes, but things have to go in order. So when we have unconscious resistance and then we try to cover it over with positivity, that unconscious resistance hasn't gone anywhere. It's gone deeper into our unconscious where it will continue to run the show, but maybe even more strongly than it did before. So when we try to cover over the thing that needs our attention or healing with something positive, like, oh, not me, I want to help everybody succeed, and I'm not like that, and I don't sabotage myself, I don't have an inner critic. Maybe. But if you've got a brain in your head, then you've got that chattering voice that's giving you the worst case scenario, just like every other human being on this planet. We've all got one of those. It was our ancient survival mechanism of sensing for or looking out for danger. It cares about survival and protecting us, not about thriving or growing or taking healthy risks that would allow us to mature or thrive. So for this phrase's opposite, to fill up the space that we just cleared, it is, I want to help myself and others achieve full potential. Usually when I say this after we've just treated, I want to sabotage myself and others, when I say this one, people go, yeah, well, that feels resonant. And I say, yeah, that's the real you. Most of us, when we're feeling safe and resourced, want this for ourselves, and we want it for other people. But if we're unconsciously sabotaging ourselves and then sabotaging other people, but not like the slice your tires in the parking lot kind of way, but when someone asks me how I'm doing and I'm afraid to tell them that they hurt my feelings, I'm sabotaging myself because I'm not telling them what's going on. And to a certain degree, I am not giving them the ability to know how their actions impacted me. and we're not getting a chance to repair in our relationship. So these are the subtle saboteurs, not some sort of big extreme thing of trying to get somebody fired, you know? Okay, so for your positive phrase, I want to help myself and others achieve full potential. That may already feel really, really strong. But if it doesn't, if it's a 7 or less, we're going to do a round to install this positive cognition, fill the space up that we just cleared. I'm going to put my hand at my center chest. That can always be your default if you can't get a sense of where you want to put your hand. And then starting at your root. I want to help myself and others achieve full potential. Now to your pelvis. I want to help myself and others achieve full potential. Your belly button. I want to help myself and others achieve full potential. Your solar plexus. I want to help myself and others achieve full potential. Center chest. I want to help myself and others achieve full potential. Left heart. I want to help myself and others achieve full potential. Your right heart. I want to help myself and others achieve full potential. To your throat. I want to help myself and others achieve full potential. Your chin. I want to help myself and others achieve full potential. To your forehead. I want to help myself and others achieve full potential. And now to your crown. I want to help myself and others achieve full potential. Take a big breath, filling up the space with the positive cognition that you just said. Feels pretty nice to say. And then if you need to say it a couple more times, you can put your hands at 2 stationary places, say it 2 or say it 4 more times until it feels like it's like a rock solid 10. And just take a listen for some of that chatter in the future. If you can hear that inner critic or you hear that saboteur trying to protect you, you can always just stop and go, hey, thank you for doing what you have known how to do to keep me safe or to protect me from harm. And the healthy adult in you, that's why we clear these negative core beliefs or we work to release this material, is so you can decrease the amount of kind of maladaptive nervous system reactions. That's what being present in your body and noticing what's going on, especially when you feel threatened. There's this decreasing effect. And then we're also simultaneously filling up corrective emotional experiences. So being present with yourself with uncomfortable emotions and being able to say to yourself, you're okay, this is just a feeling. So what happens is, my experience in my work is there's this like tipping point where your truest or your deepest or your wisest self is able to start acting for you in your life. So my clients will come in and say things like, you are not going to believe what I was able to do this week. And most of the time I go, I don't know, try me. I'm delighted and ready to hear it. But it might be something as small as I asked my children to pick up their shoes and socks without losing my temper and was able to just keep my cool, but also stick with a boundary with them. And it went really well. And that is cause for celebration. Of course it is. So thanks for being here. Thanks for watching. Feel free to like, subscribe, share this video with other people, and I'll see you on the next one.